Closing arguments expected to be heard in the trial of murder-accused Ntuthuko Shoba in the High Court in Johannesburg today. Shoba is accused of being the mastermind behind the murder of his 8-month pregnant girlfriend, Tshegofatso Pule. Shoba earlier took the stand to testify in his own defense. The 32-year-old is facing charges of murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and defeating the ends of justice. For more on the story, let's cross live now to our colleague Hasina Agori. A very good morning to you. Hasina, just before we talk about what's happening in the court case, we've been reporting that media is not allowed to live stream this event, and then there was a change of heart. Let's take us through this process. What's happening here?
Good morning, Desiree. Yes, we're outside of the Johannesburg High Court where, as you mentioned, we are going to see those closing arguments being presented by both the state and the defense. There's been a lot of media restrictions around the case, with the judge really asking for media applications and not a blind media acceptance as usual. There was restrictions on some of the witnesses. We were not allowed to name or identify specifically the last witness that took the stand last week. We also were not allowed to live stream proceedings. Audio of the proceedings were allowed throughout the trial, as well as there was no images that were allowed to be taken during the time when the witness was on the stand. But however, the judge ruled on Friday that the closing arguments and a judgment will be allowed to be live streamed. He said that the rationale behind the ban on media live streaming was that the evidence of those that may be giving testimony might influence others that take the stand, and that those that were going to be witnesses may have access to that information on a rolling basis, and that was why he had decided that he didn't want the witnesses to be prejudiced, also for them to come under any personal scrutiny. We saw with the last witness that there was a lot of emotions around the testimony as well, and really some of those that took to the stand feared for their lives. So that was something that was really taken into account by the judge, and he did not want a trial by the media, but he's ruled that for the closing judgment and arguments, this were not threats, so that media access will be allowed, especially with the public interest in the case.
Okay, and then just a summation of how far the case has come so far and what's been happening.
So what's expected to happen today is closing arguments by both state and defense, when they both would really sum what their case stands for. The state's case is hinged on that evidence from Mzikayise Malepane, the hitman who turned state witness. He was linked to the murder and was arrested in 2020 after Ntuthuko Shoba gave that CCTV footage to the police when Tshegofatso Pule went missing, and the CCTV footage showed the vehicle of Pule jumping in on that night of the 4th of June 2020. It then allowed them to link and identify who the driver or who the owner of the vehicle was, and that was how Malepane was then arrested. He turned state witness when he confessed as well to the murder, saying that it was orchestrated by Ntuthuko Shoba. So the state case is trying to paint a picture of a man that was really desperate and orchestrated and planned to have their pregnant girlfriend, unofficial partner, killed because of the baby, and because he did not want that information to be revealed, and for his partner to find out that he had a child on the way with someone outside of their relationship. So that's really the state's case, what they've been trying to show, that this was planned, this was orchestrated. However, we've heard from Ntuthuko Shoba, he has really been adamant denying this version of events. At one stage, he tried to paint a picture of Tshegofatso Pule being promiscuous, and that Malepane was a part of this love circle, as the judge or as the state put to Shoba, that it was he's trying to claim that there was a love circle, and that Malepane had killed Pule out of a fit of rage or passion because he had found out that she was pregnant with another man. That defense was brought up during the bail application. However, it was not a line of defense that Shoba did pursue after that. Also, he's really tried to paint himself as a partner that was present and really excited for their baby, their unborn baby, planning for that unborn child. And that's really what his defense has tried to show him as. He claims the link to him and Malepane was that they were old school colleagues who had reconnected during the lockdown when there was that ban on illicit cigarettes as well as on alcohol, and that they had connected when he was selling those contraband products. And he's really tried to state that that's the way he only knew them, and that was the only reason that they had any connection. He's denied the evidence of the phone, which he calls the disputed phone. He claims to have no access to it, no knowledge of those calls, and he has not responded to any of those questions that were put to him regarding the activities of that phone, which was used to communicate with both the Hetman Malepane as well as with Pule at some point when he tried to set up a fake interview with her, which shows for the state side that it looks as if this was a plan that was tried more than once to have Pule's life ended due to the circumstances around it. The last witness that took the stand gave evidence around Malepane's whereabouts on the last night before he picked up Pule, as well as whether or not he had any business that was selling illicit contrabands at that point. The witness denied any knowledge of that, saying that from what they understood and what they had witnessed, that this was not the case. The witness broke down, as I mentioned earlier, really emotionally once the proceedings ended, almost, with the burden of all that emotion that they were feeling. And I think that just illustrates just the amount of emotions that both the family as well as those witnesses that have taken the stand in the case have felt during this time, quite an emotional time. We've heard from the family saying that for them it feels as if Shoba has no remorse, that he speaks as if he's not talking about his own unborn child and he's just relaying facts. So really an emotional time today with closing arguments. We expect both sides to sum up their cases, and then hopefully judgment will be handed down soon in this matter.